Hi, as you probably can hear from the background noise, summer still hasn't arrived here in England. It's raining heavily again, so I thought I'll do a little bit of work on some of the raw material that I've got sitting around. Now, one of them that I've been looking at for a while is this Trident Maple. It's fairly uninspiring as it stands. As you can see, it's got all the growth is happening at the top of the tree. And although it's got a nice little bit of movement at the bottom here, it's severely lacking in branches and general interest. So I thought we'll probably go through and thread graft some of these long branches that I've left to grow out for that purpose into the lower part of this trunk to give us some interest and something to work with in the future. What we're going to need to do this is a drill with a sharp wood drill bit that's just slightly larger in diameter than the branch that you're going to graft. You're going to need some scissors to strip obviously the leaves off the shoot and some cut paste or cutting compound to just make sure that the ends are sealed to facilitate the healing on the graft as we put it. So the first thing to do is to see if we can fit one of those branches into a position where we would like them. Now, I prefer my branches to grow on outside bends on the trunk. So then we can approximate these. So if we carefully move some of these branches down, probably want one of the branches on this side here. So if I bring this branch over and just approximate it to where I want it, and then I can make a mark to see where I'm going to put the hole to feed this branch through. Now I'm probably going to do more than one graft on this tree at the same time while I've got it on the bench. As I said, it's healthy enough, it's growing strongly, so I'm sure it'll be happy with that. Now the secret to success on this is to select apical, strong growing branches that are vigorous, because what you want to do is you want these branches to grow quickly once they're in position. So best to have a branch that comes from the top, let them grow out, and then bring them down with the tip pointing upwards once they're grafted to continue that strong growth. So I shall go and bring the camera a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll get on with the job in hand. Okay, so we've got the tree in position. Now the first branch I'm going to graft in is a branch that will emerge on this side, growing upwards at an angle to give me a little bit of upward movement in the branch, but also to allow the shoot to continue growing strongly once it's been grafted. Upward pointing branches generally grow a lot quicker and a lot more vigorous than branches that are pointing downwards. So I shall make a diagonal hole from the inside of the curve in this trunk and emerging on the other side. Now I've approximated the drill bit to the size of the branch that I'm using. It's just slightly larger to allow me to comfortably feed that through without knocking any of the buds off. So I shall go and start drilling this hole. There we go, we're all the way through. Now we'll just clean that top end up a little bit and make sure that we've got a clean exit hole, so when we feed the branch through there's not going to be any snag. There we go. And now we select the branch that's to go into that position. So I've got a variety of branches here that I can choose from, but I think this one is probably the most suitable. It's in a good position and it'll fit nicely through there. So to do next is to strip all the leaves off this branch quite cleanly. Making sure to keep the buds and leave some leaves at the back end of the branch to help it start growing quickly. Now I'm going to take those leaves off at the top. Right, now we'll go and see if we can fit this branch into the hole that we made. Just trim back those last little ends that sort of protruding. As I said, quite important to make sure you don't damage the buds when you do this, because you want that branch to continue growing quickly and strongly once you've finished the graft. So we'll now feed this branch through the hole that we've made, being careful to retain the buds that are sitting along that branch. And I like to bring the end of the branch to just before a set of buds, and make sure that I've got at least 4 or 5 sets of buds coming out at the other end. So now it's just a matter of applying a little bit of cut paste to where this hole exits and then enters. Now I'll just use some Jap Black here, which is quite flexible cut paste, and it lasts for a long time. It doesn't dry and fall off the tree. And now all that remains is just to secure that branch in place to make sure it doesn't move when any wind's blowing. So the way I do that is I take a piece of wire, feed it across the trunk, and then wire both sides of the branch, which will hold it steady in that position. So that now will not move into either direction, and is held steady on there. I'll just touch up to make sure if we've disturbed any of that cut paste, touch that up. And there we are, that's the first one of those branches in position. Now I will bring the end of this branch up to make sure that it grows strongly upwards, but as you can see it emerges at an outside bend and allows me also maybe to put another couple of branches at the bottom and at the back, which I'm going to do next. Okay, there we are. That's finished the grafting on this tree for now. It'll go back in the growing area, and be left. I'll probably leave this for about a year or two, just checking the wires as the branches expand. The way this works is that as the branch expands inside the hole, it merges its cambium with the cambium of the trunk. What really needs to happen is for this tree to be left to grow unrestricted until these branches thicken. Now the way you see that these grafts have taken is that you get a thickening of the branch that's coming out of the hole, and you will also see a swelling at the back of the branch. Now the good thing about thread grafting is that you're really gaining 2 branches, because once the branch is taken, if you take the branch off at this higher stage, you actually have got 2 branches that are growing from there, which will help you to thicken the trunk, and also gives you a choice which of these branches to use. Well, here's an example of a thread graft that I've done on this larch tree a few years ago. So you can see this is the original entry of the graft. This is where the branch has been cut, so you can see I've got growth on both sides of the graft. This is the entry side where the original graft was planted, and this is the exit side, and you can see that this is really knitted in well on there. Sometimes they fail, and you can see this is a failed thread graft. The branch that's come out didn't take, and you can see where the entrance was cut for that. Again, there's some grafts on this tree at the moment. You can see this is a thread graft that's coming from this little plant that's sitting at the back here, and there's another one just below it. I'm not sure if you can see that clearly on there. So you can see, you know, this is the way these things work. You let these grow out, and at some stage, once they've taken, you sever the entry branch, and you retain the branches that are growing for further training. Now, deliberately, I've planted these on the outside of bends, so that's the branch most likely that I'll be using, but time will tell. As I said, something to do for a rainy day, when your other trees and your established trees don't really need a lot of work to do. It's always a good time to work on material that you're developing for future bonsai use. As I say, as it stands now, it's nowhere close to a bonsai, but with these new branches now in the lower part of the tree, it certainly has improved the possibilities for this material. And some people know that I like to propagate my own material. Generally, I never waste anything that's useful. So in the process of grafting this tree, this trident maple, there were some offcuts, and I thought, well, rather than sticking them all on the compost, I'll try and root them. There's sort of a typical shoot that's come off. I've removed the leaves and I've removed the growing tip, and all I'm going to do now is just cut that with a sharp pair of scissors just below a node. Dip it in some rooting gel and pop it into a pot. Now the soil in the pot is just recycled potting soil that's been sifted and strained, so it's quite coarse and free draining. Here's another shoot, so again I'll just pop that below a node, take off any bits that might just rot in the while it's sitting in the pot. So dip it in the rooting hormone, pop it in the pot. As I say, I'm not very scientific about these things. For me, this is just minimising waste really, and maybe in the process getting a bit of free material. If they take, they take. If they don't, I haven't really lost anything. But I've quite successfully propagated trident maple from cuttings like these, because they're such vigorous trees. They grow quite happily from cuttings, and these are strong shoots from this year's growth. So I'll pop 5 or 6 in this pot, and if they root, it'll give me some material to work on in the near future, or give away to friends, or pop into the club. I've got 5 in there. That'll sit happily in that small pot. And all that happens with it now, I've got half a lemonade bottle that's been cut in half, a clear bottle. Pop that on the top. Pop it in a warm place where it's not getting direct sunshine, so I generally pop it underneath the bench in the greenhouse, and I would suggest that probably 5 or 6 weeks you'll see the first signs of new growth on those. Leave them in there till next spring and pot them up for future use. Hope that's been helpful, and thanks for watching. Bye.